Hello again. So finally we're getting into this project again. It has been 2 years since the last video considering this big boat project, and now it's time to kind of restart the whole thing. I had to watch my previous videos because I didn't remember what I have said before. Things have a little evolved since then, but basic principles are quite the same. I've been searching the perfect hull shape for quite a long time, and eventually, after contacting a few designers, I decided to go this particular boat. It's a 50-foot steel hull and cat-catch rigged boat, and designer is Yves-Marie de Tanton. I believe only one of these has been built and the owner has been quite happy with it. So let's go through some features of this boat. First of all, I mentioned it's a steel boat. I'm not going to build a steel boat, but cold molded wood epoxy boat. We'll get back to that a little later. But it's a 50-footer. I'm going to use metric system because, about 15 meters long and 4 meters wide, and it has 2 freestanding wooden masts. Besides from the masts, another unique feature is that the deck of this boat is actually fiberglass or wood epoxy, I really don't know, but it's considerably lighter than the steel deck. There's also some benefits from that when converting this into wood epoxy. It has a quite radical shaped keel, which is also used as tankage in the original plan. The overall shape of this hull is a little more in the traditional end rather than the wide stern modern thing. So I think the key numbers and behavior of this hull fit quite well on this purpose. Let's go through a little more detailed numbers. So as I mentioned, overall length is about 15 meters, and also the water level is about 15 meters, and displacement is about 15,000 kilograms, so 15 tons, which from the ballast keel is going to be 5,000 kilograms. So only the keel will weigh almost twice as my current boat. The sail area from the current plans, the original plans, is about 160 square meters, which is actually quite high number. There's a few ratios that can be calculated from these figures. If you search, you can probably find these same numbers from most of the boats out there. As most of you probably know, the length of the boat is the key to the theoretical max speed of the boat. Hull speed for the 15-meter boat is about 9.5 knots. From the length and from the displacement, we can calculate so-called displacement length ratio, which in these figures gives 123, which is actually surprisingly light considering there's quite a lot of weight in the keel and the tankage and other stuff. Also, you can calculate the number of motion comfort. Motion comfort comes from the beam of the hull, how it will swell in the seas, and also the weight. Lighter boat with wider beam will move more rapidly in the sea and it gives less comfort. And narrower boat with more weight is obviously more comfort in the seas. So this hull and this displacement gives a motion comfort 31.5, which is quite good. And that's what we're looking for here. Also the ballast to displacement ratio is about 1/3, so it's actually quite good. And I was a little surprised when I calculated this it seems that this hull performs quite well. The design process is still very much on the works, so there's going to be modifications maybe to these figures and the shape and keel and maybe some other stuff. So it's work in progress. So the idea here is to build a liveaboard boat. I think it should be big enough to comfortably live in the boat, and there should be enough room for all kind of stuff, but also the length gives weight, which gives comfort. So a smaller boat would be much cheaper and maybe easier to handle and stuff. It would always be a little cramped and small, and I'm not really a very small guy either, so I really need proper headroom and so a little bigger boat, it gives more speed, it gives more comfort, It gives more space for visitors, and there's a lot of stuff to consider here. But the hull shape is always a compromise for many factors. If you want a fast boat, it should be as light as possible, as long as possible, and maybe as wide as possible, and have massive rig with a massive keel. But the motion comfort and ability to carry things which you need in liveaboard is quite low. So when you go another direction, you get it deeper and narrower and heavier. It will be more comfortable, but it will be slower. And yeah, we're playing with many factors here that will affect each other and give some kind of compromise anyway. So yeah, these are always compromises, and I think this particular model I have chosen here at this point is quite good. That gives enough space inside, enough ability to carry load, carry your stuff. It's comfortable enough. At this point it feels good. But if I want some space, why don't I build a catamaran? Well, there is a few reasons. First of all, I don't like the risk of capsizing. I know it's quite theoretical, but it's still there. And also catamarans must handle substantial loads when going upwind. It's not structurally very easy, and there is quite a lot of things to consider there. I might be wrong, but that's my preference. Then there is also that, especially here in Baltic Sea, the harbors and all the places can be quite narrow, so the wide catamaran really doesn't fit in many places here. Although it's quite a bit more shallow, there's also quite shallow routes here, so there's always two sides for everything, but my preference is monohull. I've never been into catamarans anyway. I don't know why, but that's the way it is. However, I want to mention one particularly interesting concept, which is proa. Especially this Australian guy who's been designing these Pacific proas. They are very different from any boat. It's very interesting concept that has two masts on the other hull, and it's asymmetrical, and it's very interesting. And if I was into catamarans, I would definitely go into this kind of design. But enough yammering, let's go and check out the hull shape on the computer and things that I have done for it. And most importantly, does my original plan fit into that hull? So let's start with the original hull design I received from Mr. Tanton. So it is here in the Reno, and if you take a look at the front, it is designed for being made from steel. So there's these round bilges here and straight upper sections, and also quite straight bottom sections here. Quite simple hull shape, nothing really special about this. What's special is this keel shape, which is kind of semi-long and quite maybe even brutal form, but I think it works well as a keel, and also there is quite a lot of room for tankage there. As I mentioned before, I like a little more modern look, so I took this hull shape and edited it just a bit with the Reno. So let's take a look at my edited version of this hull. And here it is. It looks a bit different. I have done some technical modifications as well. I uniformed the shape to work a little better. So the below water level form is basically the same. I just took off the hard chines from there to make it more suitable with wood epoxy construction. What I have done here is that, I mean, the shear line here, totally horizontal, so the water level and the shear line are the same. So I removed the rake that the bow did. So the height of the bow is basically the same, but I just took it back there. And also I already sketched the tow rail thing here. I would like to make it like a modern uniform shape around the boat and behind the stern. By raising the shear line, I also created quite a bit of more volume back here. If we take the boat designs here on side by side, you can see a straight line from the bow goes like this, and there's quite a bit of volume coming from the middle section here. But we have to remember that there's going to be the high tow rail, maybe 20 to 30 centimeters down from the shear line. There's some things still coming up for this hull, so I would like to have a proper skeg at the front of the rudder to protect it, and also there's going to be a sail drive somewhere around here. So those are the things that are coming for the hull shape. And also we're discussing right now with Mr. Tanton of the depth of the keel. I really can't say anything about that yet, other than I would like it to be just a bit shallower to properly access some places. There has been some ideas of doing bilge keels. SV Seeker, for example, has bilge keels, which means that there's two keels from the bottom here that the boat can sit on. There is some pros and cons in that as well. For what I have understood, the main con is that they should be quite a bit heavier than the keel that is lower. But that's basically it from the hull, and now we can jump into the plan. That program was Reno. I'm not really an expert using that, but this one, what I'm using daily basis, is ArchiCAD, and I have imported the modified hull shape here and started to build the boat around this. If you haven't watched the previous videos, there was two options that I was considering of the basic principle of this boat, and it has been 2 years ago, and I have kind of made my mind. I decided to go with the more Garcia lookalike for this kind of 3-level thing, so I'm not jumping into this very much right now. I just want to show you that the basic principle I did 2 years ago fits quite well into this hull. The only slight issue is that it's a bit narrower than the template I used before, so it's a little squeezy in the middle here so that I can fit all the things down below. If you take a section here, you can see the basic principle. So here's the cockpit, 1 step down, 2 steps down into the saloon, and 1 step up for the settee area, where is the nav station / office table, and on the other side there's galley area, and there's a toilet and a shower, and then there's this one cabin right there, and 2 other cabins down below. It fits quite well. It's a bit narrow around here in the middle. We have discussed with Mr. Tanton that could we make the boat a little wider in the middle section here, get a little bit more room. Especially the deck around the saloon area. It's a bit narrow, it's 30 centimeters wide. But these are compromises. Everything is compromised. We can get huge room all over without making the boat considerably bigger. So one thing what's still a little bit consideration is the dinghy garage. So if you take a look at back here, you can see the dinghy just fits below the cockpit floor. There's going to be slight issues with the rudder post, how it's going to fit, and also the wind vane solution. I really want a wind vane in this kind of boat. And I really don't know if the dinghy garage is really usable. I haven't really never used one. I have actually never seen anyone used one. That's actually something I would like to ask from you guys there somewhere. Should I go with the dinghy garage, or should I put some davits here? And but what I don't want to do is to keep the dinghy on the front deck, because most likely these roof sections here are going to be covered in solar panels. I want the deck to be as clean as possible. I really wouldn't like to have the dinghy around here. But yeah, here we go. That's the situation right now, and we'll continue the design process with Mr. Tanton and we'll see how this goes. And if you think about this, it's like a combination of all these boats I mentioned in the earlier video. So the basic idea is from the Garcia exploration. Then there's this cockpit area, which is from the Moody. And then there's this AML-like steering position with the technical compartment below the cockpit there. And I think it works surprisingly well. It gives quite a lot of space inside, and yeah, it's always a compromise. If you have to remember anything from designing a boat, it's all about compromises. I will continue the design process from here. I've ordered some books. I read this old book mostly through, and also I ordered this very much appreciated book, Mechanical Electrical Manual. There's quite a lot of things that I've already learned from. And there is one additional book coming up shortly. So if you have any questions, comments, ideas, anything, please put them down below and I try to answer them, and also follow the Facebook and Instagram and Patreon, and order these shirts, and yeah, we're getting on with this. As we have discussed with the naval architect so far, the main thing to control here during this design is the weight and the distribution of the weight. So the steel hull is going to be converted in the wood epoxy. It's going to be considerably lighter, but will need still quite the same displacement in order not to have to change the hull shape below the water level. So we have to add ballast, we have to add some stuff down there, and there's quite many things you have to take into consideration. I put some links in the description. One of them is Google Sheets, where I have calculated all the stuff and their weights that are coming into the boat. So that gives some idea of the weight and how it is distributed in different things. There are many things that I don't know yet. If there is anything that comes into your mind, please leave a comment down below and I add or modify this. It's kind of overwhelming, the decisions you have to make at this point of the design process. Although in interior and solutions they're kind of frosting over the cake. It doesn't matter that much. But decisions of the hull shape and weight and rigging and stuff, they have to be decided at this point so that we can go further with the more detailed planning. That's what we're going to do in the near future. But hey, thanks for watching. I hope this jammering on will go somewhere from here. In the next few weeks, I'm going to design the boat further and discuss with Mr. Tanton, and we'll try to figure out the weights. And on the side, I have made some additional designing for the CNC router, and it looks like I'm going to be able to build this maybe even during this year, so we'll see about that. The biggest issue still is it's not the boat, but it's the shed what I need to build this thing. So building the shed is tremendously expensive. I still haven't got even place to build it, and there's quite a lot of things going on and to consider at this matter, but I'll get back into that shed in the near future. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that now, and also check out the Teespring to get these awesome t-shirts. I have now used this for a few weeks and it's quite good quality, eco-friendly cotton, and there's hoodies as well. Also, if you like this project and want to see how it goes, consider being the first Patreon of this channel. I would really appreciate that. We're going forward from here, and we'll see you in the next video, and on the Instagram and Facebook I will post every now and then some sneak peeks or information of the project, so that's a little more real-time channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you hopefully soon. Bye!